Welcome to practice. We're going to begin laying down, and I've got a blanket that I have folded on the long edge, make a little narrow support. That's going to go in underneath the hip. So find your way to the floor on your back and put your blanket or your rolled up towel or something like that underneath your tailbone. You can feel that the pelvis starts to tip. The tailbone part tips up to the ceiling and the lower back is closer to the floor. I'm going to bring the legs into Baddha Konasana. And it's early for me, this time of the day. So my hips always feel a little bit stiff when I start the practice. And I like to support them. So I tuck the ends of the blanket a little bit more. So I have more support under the hips and I can really just feel supported and more comfortable as I ease into practice. You might like to try that too. Baddha Konasana. Take your arms overhead and check in with how your upper body is aligned and your shoulders. Maybe your hands don't reach comfortably to the floor. So if that's the case, it might be more comfortable for you to hold your elbows, or if you happen to have a cushion or something lying around, put your hands on a cushion or a blanket. Sometimes the hands don't reach the floor because of the angle we've got with the shoulder blade. Sometimes just reeling around and getting the shoulder blades flatter against the back ribs helps that angle of opening in the shoulders. Again, having support under the limbs, especially if there is some resistance, can feel very comforting, very encouraging. It's tempting to think of resistance as something we need to overcome, but it's there for a reason. And working with it and taking a compassionate approach to your practice, to yourself, is such a self-kindness. So just checking in. Maybe the body's still resisting a little this shape, and you might be able to let go of some more tension and really just give yourself to the shape, the support underneath you, and find the flow of your breath. Beautiful. And then moving with the spirit of self-kindness, bringing in your arms and your knees. And you can take the blanket out, hug your knees into your chest and rock a little bit from side to side, feeling your lower back lengthening. Beautiful. We're going to take the leg up to as straight as you can. Those muscles in the back of your leg, particularly behind the thighs, are going to start to complain a little bit. So just enjoying the communication. And we'll take the arms overhead again. We're going to try and stay really relaxed in the upper body. And we're just going to drop the feet a little way from above the line of the hips. So you start to feel the core of your body switching on to hold the weight of your legs. And press your lower back into the floor. You'll really feel the front core of the body switch on. Nice. Okay, now you're going to find a position where it's a bit of work, but you're not overdoing it, and you can still press your lower back to the floor. And you're breathing. And did you tense up in your upper body trying to help the core? So just relax the shoulders and the neck again. Good. And we're going to gently, gently sway the legs a little bit left and a little bit right. Don't have to go too far. You'll feel the core work. We're really engaged with noticing the strength available in the core of the body. Let's particularly try and keep the chest relaxed, the muscles around the heart, so that when you breathe, you can feel the ribs moving on. Back to center. Good. And then place the feet down onto the floor. And just relax. Relax the curves of your spine. Feel nice and heavy in your spine, dense bone. The belly feels relaxed. The breath moves with ease. Good. Pick the feet up off the floor again, but this time we're going to do soles of the feet together, or as best you can. Heels in close to your body and knees are out wide. And we're going to interlock the hands behind the head. Lift your head and your shoulders a little way off the floor, but beware, your strong arms are going to want to push your head forward. So let your head just rest back into your hands. Can you feel the core of the body engaged in this? Nice. We're going to press the lower back again. We're trying to get all the skin there to touch the floor. Good. And then we're going to take the right elbow up a little in the direction of the left knee. So I don't mean to touch your left knee, but just moving a little way in that direction, as though there were an arc of movement. To travel a little way along that arc, just enough for your core to be working. Good, because we don't want to push the head forward, but you're going to keep your head and your shoulders off the floor. And we're really drawing the muscles of the front core back to the spine and the spine back to the floor. Keep going from side to side. If you can breathe. Trying to feel the power in the core of your body, but keeping a nice relaxed approach in your head, neck, face. Draw the internal muscular support up into the torso, towards the heart. Very nice. And relax. Feet back onto the floor, hands onto your belly. Take some deep and satisfying breaths so you can feel the belly moving. Beautiful. We're going to roll over into an all fours position. So taking that compassionate approach to your movement. And in all fours, take the knees a little wider. Take the hips back towards the heels. far as they go for you. Some people's hips touch their heels. Pull forward Virasana. And stretch your hands forward. So, of course, it's fine to do this posture if your hips have to be higher because your knees won't bend comfortably with compassion. Then what happens is as you stretch your arms forward, you get a bigger stretch in the shoulders and the chest. So if the hips are higher, it's a bigger stretch for the chest. If your hips are back, then that nice bend for the knees. But either way, we want to lengthen the spine. So I try to walk my left ribs forward a little bit more and then my right ribs forward. If you think of your pelvis as the anchor, walking ribs side to side, keep going forward. And then take the shoulder blades back and the top of the head forward. And finding your breath. Nice work. Now from here, we're going to look forward at the hand. Stretch your fingers out wide. We're going to put some pressure on the hands and the fingers. Stretch your thumbs towards each other. Looking at the hands, elbows go out wide, and we bring the nose and the chest as close to the floor as you can until you're laying onto your tummy, and bring your legs so they're parallel. Elbows in, elbows back. Lift your breastbone away from the floor, but not so much using the hands, rather feeling the core of your body. And this time it's the back core. So feeling the back muscles lift you without compressing or crunching your spine. Nice work. We're going to press into the hands now and start to straighten the arms and just lift the hips away from the floor as you need to until your arms are straight. The knees are still on the floor. Take the shoulder blades back, looking up. Good. And then up into an all fours position. Arch your spine up. Arch your spine down. And then we're going to do a wave side to side. And we're trying to wave the spine so that in a way that ribs are going in one direction, the hips will be a little bit in the other direction. So waving the spine from side to side. Good. And then we're going to tuck the toes under, come back to center, sorry, with the spine. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog pose. And just wave your spine and your hips a little bit from side to side. You'll be able to move the hips more now in this posture. Waving a little bit from side to side. Beautiful. Come back to center. Lower your knees to the floor and find your forward Virasana position. And we're back to the start. So we're going to repeat that sequence a few times. Find the flow of your breath. Looking forward at your hands, stretch your fingers, your thumbs, elbows out wide. Bring the chest just along the floor until you're laying on your tummy, legs parallel, elbows in, elbows back. Breathing. Lift the breastbone, not so much using the hands here. Feeling your back muscle strong and nice. Breathing. Now we're going to start to straighten the arms, but lift your hips away from the floor as you need to, so you don't crunch your lower back into too strong a back bend. Beautiful. Up into your all fours position with the breath. As you exhale, arch the spine up. Inhale, arch the spine down. Find the flow of your breath. And then we're going to start to wave the spine from side to side. Just try to find your sideways movements. Maybe think about the ribs, taking the left ribs way out to the left, and then the right ribs way out to the right. Good. And then come back to center. Still feeling the flow of your breath. Press your fingerprints. Come up into downward facing dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And we can wave the hips from side to side here. Try to get the spine moving, supple movements. Maybe even your head can wiggle around a little bit. That's lovely. Come back to center and knees to the floor. And here we are back in forward Virasana. Take the hands lightly on the floor and resting. Flow of the breath. Looking forward at your hand. Elbows out wide. Chest along the floor. Laying onto your tummy. Parallel leg. Elbows in, elbows back. Almost without using your hands at all. You can even try and lift them off the floor. Lift your breastbone away from the floor. Good. Hands back to the floor so you can start to straighten your arm. Lift your hips away from the floor as works for your back. So we're in a sort of a back bendy plank position. Nice work. Up into all fours as you exhale, arch the spine up. As you inhale, arch the spine down. And a couple more like that. Pressing the fingerprints, base of the index fingers, good work. Come back to center and then waving the ribs from side to side. Let the whole spine follow. Finding that flow of movement and energy through the body, through the work in the hands and the arms, the legs, particularly the spine and the neck. Good work. Back to center, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And this time, take the hips as you're waving focal point. Let the spine follow. Head and neck. And then knees to the floor. And this time, rest your hands beside you in child's pose. Squeeze the fingers into a fist and release, and squeeze and release, and find the breath. Nice. Take your arms forward, and we're going to put the elbows on the floor. So the elbows are going to be about shoulder width. I'm going to walk my knees in so they're about towards each other rather than towards the elbows. Okay, and the trick here that you can change depending on what you need is if your knees are closer to your elbows, it's not going to be so strong in your shoulders. And if your knees are further from your elbows, width distance apart from each other, then it's going to be a bigger stretch for the shoulders and the chest. So you can try it out and then move your knees as necessary. I like to try that bigger stretch so my knees are further from my elbows. There will be resistance here for most people. Paying attention to that resistance. Making as much length for your neck as you can. Notice if the elbows slipped apart. If you've had any kind of shoulder injury, like a rotator cuff injury or frozen shoulder, this can be really challenging. So maybe having the knees closer to the elbows would be a better starting point. Good. And then we're going to really nice work. And walking your knees forward, come into either a seated position or a kneeling position. I'm going to make my long blanket into, I'm just going to fold it in half. So I've got a nice little pillow here that's not too wide. And sitting with feet either side of that. So I can kneel down and there's no discomfort in my knees. So if you kneel down and your knees hurt, then either you need higher equipment, which you might not have to hand, or just sit with your legs in front of you instead, your feet in front of you. Okay. We're going to bring the arms out from shoulders and just curl your fingers in towards the palm, but we'll poke the thumbs forward. Beautiful. And then we're going to take the little finger side of the hands back and then the palms down a little. So back and down. And tune into the shoulder movement. The shoulder blade movement. And however you're sitting, I hope that you feel you can lengthen your spine. Sometimes we need more support under the hips to get that feeling of just being easy in the spine. So if you're really struggling, you could do this in a standing position, it's an option, or have a higher set of blankets under you. Good. Let's go in the opposite direction. So the thumbs go forward and then the palms go down. As you're doing this, try to reach your movement to the very back part of that little circle that you're making with your hand. Great. And then we're going to turn the palms up. Thumbs are pointing back and take the thumbs back and the back of the hands down. Noticing where you feel this work. And if it's all in your neck and your neck is crying out, try to relax a little bit more, shoulder blades down. And of course, rest if you need to. We're looking for muscular fatigue. Mm. That feeling as the muscles begin to repair, message to be stronger. Relax your hands down. Close your eyes and feel the work in your shoulders and shoulder blades. Lovely. And we're going to come up to standing. So think about how you move to come up to standing. If you're kneeling, you might like to try tucking your toes under and even coming into a squat position without using your hands and standing up. Coming to the front of your mat now and standing into Tadasana. Let's just wriggle our spine. Give it some structure. So we're going to take the top of the head in a circle around the base, top of the head, and then let your spine follow. That's a nice way to wriggle. And then the other direction. Great. And then back to center. When we make those whole spine movements, we find all the joints of the spine. We're going to do that now with the feet on the floor And we're going to draw circles with the knees and let your spine follow. So you've got this lovely counterbalance happening in the upper body as you test the movement of your knees. So if you're vulnerable in your knees, obviously the movement will be smaller, what your knees can manage, and go in the other direction. But let your spine really follow. Good, and back to center. And then we're going to try that on the balls of the feet. Ooh. So more of a balance challenge. Knees are going to go around in their circle. Whoa. Already challenge. And then use your upper body with that lovely counterweight. See if you can keep the fluid movement rather than stiffening up. So that we use our fluid movement to balance. And then the other direction. And back to center Tadasana. It feels so nice to stand with the feet under the hip and hip width and the legs parallel. And you can feel the stability of that stance. Take the arms up and look up. And we're going to come into a soft Uttanasana where if you check behind you with your hand, you know that the bones of the spine are not popping up towards the ceiling, not just in your lower back, but in the spine between the shoulder blades as well. So put your hands on your legs somewhere to help. And you're going to look forward and breathe. And then just start to straighten one leg and the other. And let your torso just swing a little bit from side to side as you naturally follow the movement of your leg. Good. Now you can work with legs bent or straight, whatever feels more nourishing for you. But we're going to start to just sway, really sway the torso from side to side. And if your hands reach the floor with ease, you can walk your hands from side to side, otherwise keep them on your leg. It's really swaying and reaching. So if you're going to the right, reach with your left hand. If you're going to the left, with your right hand. Let the head just feel like it's lengthening the neck, so you're not having to lift it now. Watch the weight shifting in your feet while you're there. Make sure your toes aren't trying to grip and spread out. And then back to center. And then we're going to roll up. Arms up. Urdhva Hastasana. Tadasana. Roll your upper arms out and your palms in, mountain pose. Close your eyes, feeling your feet. Beautiful. Now, it's very challenging to keep the eyes closed in the next sequence, but you can open your eyes to make it a little more doable. I'm going to open my eyes. I'm a bit wary of my balance today. So right toes touch the left heel. So you put your right foot behind your left foot and you try to bring your feet into one line. So if you need to have a look, have a look. Good. And try to balance your weight front to back evenly. Now it's a little easier to do this with the knees bent. I'm going to try straight legs. I've been practicing that, and lift the kneecaps. We're going to take the arms up. I'm going to look up. Beautiful. And then a forward bend. Trying to keep your balance. As I say, if you do this with your eyes closed, it's really challenging. Maybe you don't reach the floor with your hands. We want to keep that nice healthy spine. Feel the flow of your breath, all the little wobbles in your feet and your ankles and your legs. Good, and we're going to sway the body a little bit from side to side, the torso, the spine, finding a little bit of supple movement there, letting go of the rigidity, trying to balance. Back to center, and then we lift up. Arms up. Beautiful. You're going to step back and place your foot hip width parallel as you release your arms. So you're back into Tadasana. Nice. And then a nice smooth movement. Left toes behind the right heel. Arms up. Find even weight front to back foot. Knees can be a little bit bent, or you can try straight. You can try eyes closed or eyes open. Even eyes half closed. Okay, we're going to do a forward bend, keeping the bones of the spine reaching into the front of the torso. Healthy spine there. Finding all the little movements of the legs, the feet. Good. You can try swaying your torso from side to side, just loosening up a little bit. Letting go of the rigidity of trying to balance. Beautiful. Then we're going to lift up, arms up. Look up. And as you release your arms, step your left foot back to hip width parallel. Inhale, arms up. And as you exhale, Uttanasana, bones of the spine forward. And left foot back. We've got the feet about hip width distance apart this time. And your left foot's back far enough so when you press your heel down to the floor, you can feel a stretch in the back of the left leg. Bend your front knee and reach your spine forward and find your fluid movement by swaying the spine from side to side. Feeling the flow of the breath. And we're going to begin to straightening your front leg. Lovely. And then from there, we're going to lift up, step forward, balance on your right leg. Bring your left leg out in front. You can put your tiptoes on the floor. You can lift the leg up high. And when you place the foot down, bring it to hip width parallel. Feeling the flow of the breath, the flow of movement and energy in your body, whole body. Inhale, arms up. As you exhale, Uttanasana, loving your spine. Good. Hands to the floor, so bend your knees enough. Right foot back. Find the distance where you can press your heel to the floor, but bend your front leg. Good. And then finding that fluid movement of the spine, the hips, swaying the torso from side to side. Straightening your front leg. And bend it a little bit, straighten, bend. Playing around with the movement. There'll be big resistance. Keeping that fluid movement in your body.
Holding for a moment as you try to straighten the front leg. You feel the bones of the spine embedding forward and breathing, finding the flow of the breath. Good. And then we're going to step forward, lift up, and balance on the left leg. Woohoo! Bring the hands in front of the heart. So your right tiptoes might be on the floor. Good. And when you place your foot back down, place it hip width parallel. See if you can do these things without looking. I should have said that before. Tadasana. Okay. We're going to step the feet out a little bit wider now. So the toes are pointing out. Bring the hands in front of the heart. Press them, draw the shoulder blades down. We're going to start to squat, and you're going to find your best version. So if you're vulnerable in your knees, you might just do a really mini little one like this and lift your quadriceps. But otherwise, you can go deeper where your sit bones reach down towards your heels, but don't go to where your heels come off the floor. So where the heels want to lift up off the floor, stop there and really lift the internal muscular support. So the pelvic floor, so nothing falls out. Really lift. Nice work. Press into your heels and lift up. Good. And we'll do one more of those. So finding your squat, just where it's going to be good, nutritious work for your knees, your hips, your internal muscular support. Good. Pressing the heels. Pressing the heels, don't let them come off the floor. So don't go further than that. Nice work. Press into the heels to lift up. Really nice. Okay, and you can use that to try and sit without using your hands. Otherwise, sit down, use your hands, use your wisdom to sit down. The last little bit for me is foot flexibility, having enough movement in the feet so that I can use the movement of the feet to get me down to the floor safely. So I'm not quite there yet, but you might like to try that too, just wriggling. Well, I can land, but there's a tiny little bit where it's a fall rather than the movement that I want or intend. Happy with my move. All right, take a blanket and sit up with the blanket. Oh, time flies. We don't have time for the blanket. We're going to lie down. Mm. Mm. And we're going to have neutral legs here, parallel feet, parallel legs, finding that supported spine again. Ah. Feeling the breath. Legs falling gently to the left side. I say falling, but there's an element of lowering, of awareness of the core muscle supporting as the legs reach the floor. If they don't reach the floor, put your blanket under your knee. And just let your body be in this position, which might be a little bit awkward or it might feel like a nice stretch. And turn your head over the right shoulder. Find that deep flow of breath. Connect thoroughly to the core muscles. So your whole core is lifting the leg so that the spine and the little muscles between the vertebrae, they get lots of support.
from the front and side core. Go to the other side. So again, we're really aware of the core of the body, lowering the legs. And then when you get your knees towards the floor or onto your blanket, just let them relax. Turn to look over your left shoulder. And again, just checking in, is there some awkwardness here? Could be pretty intense for some in the back. Maybe it's just really nice. Whatever that feeling, noticing that feeling. Really aware of all of that core strength, belly, sides of the waist, internal muscular support, and your back. And we lift up and hug the knees into the chest, rocking a little bit from side to side. Beautiful. If you're going to stay for the relaxation, lay your legs out. If you need to finish your practice, rolling to your right side and coming up to sitting. Relaxation. Checking in. Maybe you need a blanket under your thigh. If there's any tightness in your lower back, a blanket will resolve it really quickly. Maybe if there's tension in your neck, a blanket under your head. You want the front and back of your throat to feel even in length. In most yoga postures, that's what we're endeavoring to do. So when you're on the floor, a head support might resolve that. Finding your breath. What's the new information in your body? So let yourself just relax into this position. We're fairly symmetrical and balanced here. Supported. No need for tension. The muscular work, letting it go. And feeling the flow of the breath. Let the breath take up space in your body. Feeling your feet and legs relax. Pelvis and the organs therein. Lower back. Middle back. Behind your shoulders. Okay. Feeling the torso relax. Your shoulders and your arms and hands. No tension necessary. Feeling your arms relax. Now your neck and your throat and the back of your head. Scalp, skull, forehead, face. And your tongue, palate, and throat, jaw, the head be relaxed. Even your ears. So the sound is received, no need. Find flow and space of your breath, feeling of life force, even though your body is relaxed and still. Take the free opportunity to let that life force flow, letting go of layer after layer tension. Coming the flow of breath. Feeling now the weight of your body supported. And start to make little movements, your hands and your feet, wriggling your fingers and your toes. And then bending in your arms and your legs. Feeling movement, returning to your body in this physical plane. And rolling over to your right side. And when you feel ready, come up and have a seat. And bring your hands in front of your heart.
the feeling of the practice with you. Namaste.